Hot
again
buttered
for a long
rum is
time.
what I want.
Why
Hot
not?
buttered girls.
Where are you going?
Rockin'. What?
No,
Where are
it's
you going?
cinnamon girl.
Oh.
You said we're not going to do this again for a long time.
I know.
Wait, this is only 2 hours of your time. That's it.
I know. And he's like, oh, I got
10
to move.
hours of my time.
The cinnamon girl.
Exactly.
That's why we just love to ramble on here.
If you can bear just sitting in that uncomfortable chair for 2 hours, maybe we'll make
some
it
magic
work.
will happen.
Gosh, this director's chair is very uncomfortable.
Is it rough?
Yeah.
This one's okay.
Those are nice.
We retired that one.
I'm retired.
So, we'd like to be. Welcome again to another episode of this lovely show that we call Hold Your Horses, Idioms for Idiots. I'm idiot number 1 because it was mostly my idea to carry this on. Mm-hmm. Idiot number 2 is Dan Atkins. Idiot number 3 is Thomas
Guilty.
Atkins. So, you said, Dan, an episode ago, something about right at the beginning. My memory's a little hazy on this one, but you said the reason why we do this and why we're here, and in my mind, I was like, the reason why we do this is to make a point.
Oh, wow.
That we can make a show.
Oh.
We can put it on the airwaves, and we can be consistent.
We're making
with
a
it.
statement.
So
Our stake in the ground
I've
is...
done what we've come out to do.
So why do we
there
still do
is.
it?
Because that's, again, we're making a point. Yeah. No matter how bad it gets.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gotten pretty bad.
And it's gotten pretty bad. But, again, Spotify, 35 reviews, 5 stars.
There it is.
So here we are again. And most of you know what we do.
And you know
so
where we
jump
are.
into it. And you know where we are. We're in the shed. It's cold. My toes, I can't feel them.
Did you turn the heater on? Dan just plugged it in and never turned it off.
Oh, just as easy as that.
saw
You
the
just have to
red
hit
light.
the power button.
I assumed it was on.
Wow.
And it's on the hot mode, right?
Yeah, it's as
Why
high
is
as...
the max button flashing?
That's what you want it.
So, here we are today.
Yes, sir.
Dan, you're
Travis.
looking well.
It's
Well
great,
rested.
Great to see you. I never see
Your
you.
cheeks are rosy.
The irony of our relationship
let's take
is,
this little
real quick,
rabbit hole.
we work at the same entity.
Location, yeah.
We're on the same zip
Campus.
code, campus, mailing address.
Hundreds of feet away
And
from each other.
I will go weeks without seeing you, and it's a travesty.
It's true.
Travis
T.
T. Bainbridge.
But isn't that intentional?
Well,
You always told me that was intentional.
When was this? What did he say?
Oh, that when he doesn't see you for weeks, it's kind of intentional.
Man, I've been resting well. I've been sleeping better. I think it's because I haven't seen... Well, as God and Thomas as our witness and our listeners, we will set aside a day where you and I
can just see each other.
Yeah. Lock the doors. The students will clamor and kick and bite at the door. Anyways, so yeah, we do work at the same place, and not a lot of the time we don't see each other.
Interaction.
No,
Mm-hmm.
To the detriment of.
So
many.
that's one of the reasons we do this, just to see each other.
Just to hang out.
Exactly.
I'm staring right at
Exactly.
your sweet bearded face right now.
So back to my line
Point.
of reasoning.
Yeah.
Your shoes look lovely.
Thank you.
Your pants, they fit well.
You're making a point.
You have a nice hat there.
I do. I
It
got it
looks
for
new.
free today.
Is he dressed to
Was
the
it
nines?
at the college and
It was
career
at the
fair?
college and career fair.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I would
What
say
a
I'm dressed.
spread.
I'm probably dressed to the sixes.
Yeah.
Dan, I'd say you're dressed to the nines.
Oh,
I'd say
boy.
that you have all your marbles intact.
Oh my!
And some would
What
say
are you doing right now?
maybe what I'm doing is buttering you up a little bit.
Oh, nice.
Like
What a lead
a
in.
little roasted
Duckling.
lobster in butter and herbs. So,
that sounds
garlic.
delightful.
cue the music. And it does its thing, yeah. Well, our music. But.
Oh, nice.
I thought we
So,
were doing cake.
the idiom that I would like to talk about for our last episode in this recording session.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We're all tired. We're all cold.
Yep.
There's a battery in the corner. I don't know if it's leaking acid. But butter me up. Butter the person up.
Mm.
Buttered up
Butter them up.
Yep.
is the idiom.
Oof.
I've heard this one a lot. This is way more common than probably dressed to the nines.
Your students do it a lot.
I hear lose your marbles quite a bit.
Yes, you
but
do.
Butter me up is good. You know, you overhear talk in the office, and you know Marjorie is sitting there. And
Margarine.
Timothy comes over.
Margarine.
Starts talking. Starts talking to her about her knitted scarf or something.
Yeah.
Oh, are you trying to butter me up?
Right.
You know, and kind of, yeah. She doesn't get much interaction, so it's nice
Apparently,
that
Margarine.
She's sitting there like a pile of melted
it's
butter.
Marjorie.
Yeah.
So
But everybody calls her Margarine.
maybe.
Yeah.
So
Maybe it's Maybelline.
I've heard it quite a bit. I
Maybe it's Margarine.
can't point to the last time. Maybe I've heard it or used it, but I'm sure you've
When was
heard
the
it
last
too.
time
I've
you've
heard
been
it.
buttered up?
Yeah. Like
good.
Kramer on Seinfeld.
Yes, that's good. And he looks over, and Newman.
Hey,
yeah.
buddy.
See,
Hey, buddy.
that's good.
That was good.
No thanks.
I know I get the reference now.
Okay, good.
It's not music or Hook or Goonies.
But it was in the 90s.
Let me think about it. The last time I was buttered up, what about you?
I was on an island somewhere.
Yeah, good. Tanning.
Covered in coconut oil.
Very good.
I mean, in our line of work that we do, Trav,
All right,
in
let's
the
go back to that. Yeah, let's
trenches,
talk more. Let's talk more about
there's a time every few, I don't know, 6 weeks, 10 weeks, where the grades are due,
Oh, okay.
and the children who have lain dormant in the
classroom.
effort, they suddenly emerge with all sorts of pep
From
and
their
vigor,
hibernation.
and they approach and they, Mr. Atkins, boy,
A sheepish look.
your class sure has been just one of my favorites. Uh-huh. Yeah, I just feel like I've learned so much.
Uh-huh.
Go on. What can I do for extra credit?
Very good.
And it's this like just embarrassing groveling for time, and I'm like, hey,
Sniveling.
how about instead of extra, you just do
it.
what I
then
told you.
If you had 100 out of 100,
do.
Right.
10 out of 10, 9 out of 9,
5 out of
you
5.
wouldn't need extra credit. Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know about butter up, but
Sure.
I'm sure there's been times where when I was a guidance counselor, I'd have a parent
Yes.
like come into a meeting, and it was like, I swung by Revive, and like here's and they have like a cup of coffee, and they give it to you, and you're just like, oh boy, what scenario has their child gotten themselves into? And I'm not thinking anyone in particular, but I am. And it's just that the butter, but our children do it all the time.
The request comes, and then you sip. You say,
yeah, this is sure good. Tastes like bribery.
No.
And you throw it at them, and they
Scalding.
get out of my office,
Oh, wow.
you worm.
Is that why you were fired?
That's why I left. Yeah.
Left,
Too many
fired.
of those.
Yeah.
Who cares what words you want to say?
Yeah. Sabbatical,
Yeah,
fanatical.
that's a good point.
Our
Yeah.
kids do it. Our spouses do it. We do it to our spouses.
Yeah.
It's just we want, when we're asking hard questions or making requests, we want people to be in their best state of mind,
Saturated
their best
state.
thought process. And it
Okay.
is an art. There's buttering
art
up
of
that
buttering.
works. There's buttering up that fails. When you are buttering up, you have to choose your blade carefully. Too sharp of a butter knife, and you will cut the person you're buttering up, and they will be on to you
Those
like
tendons.
flies on rice.
Yeah.
Too soft of a blade, and you will lay it on too thickly, and they'll look and go, why have you done this?
Yeah, it's
why,
obvious.
Why is
Very
there so
obvious.
much butter on me?
Leave me.
But a thin, expertly layered level of buttering, that's the ticket.
Makes the meat very
Moist.
supple for
Right.
carving.
And you will get your desires. You will get what you want. When
Wow.
you butter somebody up, you have an end in mind.
You don't want to
When's
be
the last
like
time you buttered somebody up? Because it seems like you're quite, quite adept at this.
Quite the butter baker.
Butterman himself.
Well, when you get the bitter butter batter and the bitter butter batter,
butter batter,
any bitter buttered batter, any you know what I'm talking about. Right?
I never
is
heard
that
that
a cake song? Because if it's not a cake song,
you guys have never been to like an auctioneer and they do that little when the bitter butter batter and the bitters butter batter bitter butter.
I have 58, 75,
I hear that part.
It's a famous tongue twister that like really good auctioneers can do.
Oh,
okay.
Look it up and I'll read it while you guys are talking. It's about butter and batter.
No, you don't have to do that. Trav keeps checking his watch.
I don't know why
I get texts on my watch.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, I'm from the future.
I'm from the future. No, watches do that.
I know.
Bluetooth. And
I don't know.
So, I think, okay,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna say my piece right now.
Betty bought a bit of butter, but she said the butter's bitter. If I put it in my batter, it will make my batter bitter. But a bit of better butter will make a batter better. So she bought a bit of butter better than her bitter butter, and she put it in her batter, and the batter was not bitter.
Boom. Okay. I know what you're talking about now.
That's awesome. Now I know. Okay, so when you are cooking, when you're making a dish,
Thinking about your wife.
oftentimes. Now, I think we've said this on the podcast. I mostly do.
Oh, that's right.
I do a lot of
I was
cooking.
talking to Tom.
But
What?
Cooking. You've never done
cooking?
No, Court
Yeah.
does the cooking.
Okay.
Yes.
Just checking.
Anyways, so butter is an ingredient that a lot of you got to use a lot of it, right?
All the butter.
Cooking a steak.
Butter makes it better.
On the cast iron, you put a lot of butter in there. You put some rosemary. You put some garlic, some seasoning. Boom, and then you get going with it. You sear it, and then you spoon the butter on top of the steak.
This episode is sponsored by Arby's. We got the
Arby's?
meat. No, I don't know.
So as you're doing that, the butter it kind of tenderizes the meat.
Oh.
It infuses flavor,
Mm-hmm.
salty aromas, all of that, right?
Yep.
So.
I'm hungry.
Exactly.
Starving all of a sudden.
So once you're done cooking your steak or lobster or what have you.
Have you ever cooked a lobster?
I actually talked to my friend and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm having lobster." And I said, "Did you buy it? Like, did you go out to a restaurant?" And he's like, "No, it's actually not that hard to
kill a lobster.
No, just go to the store, find a little lobster tail, and then put it in the oven." He said, "Lots of butter."
I thought you were talking about a live one.
No, I haven't.
We did crawdads. It's
They
pretty much the
scream.
same thing.
I heard
Nice.
they scream.
Oh, yeah. I don't know about that.
And I don't really care.
So
Tastes good.
So anyways, as you are making food, you want it to taste as good as it can,
Yeah.
and butter is the
up.
main ingredient. You butter it up, and I really think that's where it came from. I think it's super simple.
Yeah. Okay.
So-
It is very simple. I would have just made the phrase sugar up.
Mm.
Make
Yeah.
it as
Sugar makes
sweet.
it better.
Sugar
Sweet.
makes it
Very
better.
good.
Add a little.
You like
creamer.
sugar with your steak?
Well, I'm not talking about steak.
okay.
Talking
I'm
about
talking about.
sweet
I do
things.
a different type of food,
Cake.
like cake.
Like,
yeah.
Yes, the batter. Yes,
Right.
exactly.
That's
Okay.
like some people go like, "I'm gonna alcohol you out."
My wife says that to me all the
Yeah.
time.
Gonna wine and dine them.
So you would have added another ingredient to make it more appetizing.
No, I would have just made the phrase
Yes.
what I like. Someone who's
Yes,
like, "Oh, I
exactly.
love butter. I'm going to butter this guy up." I would
I'm
have been
gonna
like,
lime this up.
"I'm going to
Exactly.
sugar.
Check it out.
I'm going to
Yeah.
sugar you up."
Right.
Sugar you up.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So that-
Whatever
But it's
you like.
basically whatever
I can get
make
from you what I want.
what I want.
Yeah.
It's all about blackmail and bribery.
My
Blackmail.
Amanda
Well-
adds
John?
lime to
Everything.
things that you wouldn't think.
Like
And
watermelon.
lemon, watermelon,
Lime and water.
carrots, popcorn.
It's a Latino thing.
It is a Latina.
Tina.
Have you going back to butter though? I'm Tina.
I'm Tina.
Our mics aren't on.
The Brown Butter Cookie Company.
What?
Have you ever had their cookies?
We are
Mhm.
not sponsored by them.
We
but
should be. Good Lord.
Brown butter.
And so
cookie
speaking of
company.
sugar and butter, I didn't know what browning butter was.
Oh yeah.
Until Brown Butter Cookies. And they're out of San Luis Obispo, I think, and maybe Cayucas. But when you brown butter,
Yes.
it does something
It's like you're buttering
magical.
the butter up.
It does. It's buttering the butter.
You're making the butter taste better.
The bitter butter batter is
Can't
better.
you just taste better?
Your butter is better. I started brown buttering my pancake batter, and the brown butter batter
Was
for
it better?
pancakes is better. The brown butter batter is better for
Or
my
was it
pancakes.
batter?
It's not as
Was it-
bitter as it was. It's
No
better.
better.
It's
Okay.
freaking amazing.
Okay.
Try it. So all you do is you put the butter over heat, and you're cooking the butter in isolation until you can't cook it too
No
quickly.
friends.
You can't
No.
cook it too
You're all by
slowly.
yourself in the kitchen.
You got to keep it moving. But when
No, I mean the butter. No
when the
ingredients.
butter turns brown,
Yes.
drizzle that on your popcorn. Put
Oh.
that on your bread.
Sure.
It will change your
but it has
world.
to turn brown.
It's got to be brown.
Is it like
almost
caramelizing the
caramelizes, almost,
butter?
but not
Oh,
quite.
Okay. What?
Put it in your rum.
Yep, buttered rum.
Buttered
You've been wanting
rum.
to say
Oh,
that.
Hot
Yeah.
buttered.
Hot buttered
Butter
rum.
beer.
Butter beer.
That's
No.
a Harry Potter thing.
Oh, really?
Butter-
I guess so.
I think
Sick.
It was a fictional drink.
Yeah,
maybe,
better be.
or-
That just
Sounds good.
No.
So okay. I mean,
Yeah,
are we
you're-
unanimous?
It's just,
It's
I knew.
just-
I knew.
Okay.
I knew.
Well,
I
maybe,
knew what it
maybe
means.
the origin.
But wait,
of, may,
when do you think
let's-
they started to say it?
When do you think they started buttering
Oh.
food?
Yeah.
When do you think they started buttering people
Well,
up?
It must have been. When did they start churning butter?
Ask Margarine.
Margarine.
I can't believe it's not butter.
Mhm. That's pretty new.
Butter's been around for a bit of butter.
A bit of time.
I mean, I'm picturing like the Swiss and the French. They've been buttering things for
Oh, yeah.
decades. I'm going back.
Centuries, maybe.
I mean, I'm sure Shakespeare
The
had
Egyptians
butter.
probably did it.
With the marbles too.
They probably used the marbles.
Yeah, that's good.
1200s,
Oh,
1492. Columbus, I'm sure he had butter.
I'm gonna jump ahead in time like a time traveler.
Okay.
Kind of like the 50s, I would say.
19?
I saw this really cool video about a lot of kitchen inventions.
Uh-huh. It
came
came out in the
50s.
50s.
There were definitely a lot of, sort of if you looked at it
Novelty
through
items.
a gendered, feminist lens.
Sure.
Sure,
Which I will.
you'd find some things, but
Okay.
this wife in the kitchen looked very happy working with all these gadgets. Like literally she was making donuts.
Oh.
Her refrigerator, I don't know why they don't make
Dude,
them
the
like
fridges
this.
back then
The
were
fridges,
freaking amazing.
the door would open, and then inside the shelves would you would pull them out.
Yeah, they
so
could
you
come
wouldn't
out.
have to reach in.
Oh, wow.
It would just come out to
That
you.
would make my life
Yep.
so much easier for
There were
court.
so many other things. The ovens, all these things. It was so cool. So I think that maybe the phrase became popular kind of during the time when people maybe spent more time in the kitchen and enjoyed
their
it more.
gadgets.
Yeah.
So
Dinah.
you were kind of going to more of like the butter dressing up a meal. You're using it to sort of really bring out the flavors, a steak or a lobster.
Exactly.
I'm gonna go that route,
Like
but
a
I'm
flower
gonna pull
blooming.
it back to just the simplest
Yeah.
of forms.
Oh, are
I'm
you?
going to just a slice of butter spread
On
over
bread.
the toast.
Oh.
Maybe France or Britain.
Mm.
And so I'm going back further, maybe the 1500s. And
Okay.
you've got bread.
Sure.
Bread was a staple. Everybody was eating
Sure.
it. Let them eat cake. Let them eat bread.
Okay. I get it.
The bread and butter.
Bread and butter.
Like that's my bread and butter. There's an idiom right there.
I
Right?
like that, but at the same time, bread
You wanna
and
be
butter seems very simple.
Yep.
But
It's your bread and butter.
But in a way that people that we think they would use it, a lot of steps had to have been taken before it was in that form to just spread butter on bread,
Okay.
right? Like
maybe.
anyways,
Maybe.
but yeah,
Like you had to get it out of the fridge and get a knife out.
in the 1500s, they had fridges.
Do you ever feel
the icebox.
thin,
Spread thin.
like butter spread over too much bread? Like Bilbo?
Thin. Butter spread over too much bread. I need a holiday. A long holiday.
A long holiday. And I
Much
don't
one
return.
I will not return. Old Toby, finest pipe weed in the South Valley.
This episode is not sponsored by any of...
Gandalf, tonight will be a night to remember.
It's my 100th birthday.
I like half of you as well as you deserve, and I
love less of you more than you like to
going
remember.
now. I put this off for far too long.
He was buttering everybody up there.
That was a good
old Bilbs.
Good butter.
Yeah.
The butter factory.
So I'm gonna just go with the simplest form of buttering something up.
I like that.
But here's the deal,
It's
Trav.
just adding something to it.
Terribly
Trav,
clever.
Trav.
What?
You think
It was just a bit of fun.
you think buttering up is this long, arduous,
you're
layered process.
It's simple.
To me,
Maybe.
Like
buttering up can be as simple as Trav, you're funny.
I was just gonna say, Trav, I like your beard, and you would just be a happy little camper, wouldn't
So
you?
buttered.
Just
You
so
would
much
be-
butter.
You would be lathered in butter with that compliment. You really
You don't need to soak the whole
Set up
lobster
my
I
in.
mic.
see through the lies of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I'm gonna read it. Here it is.
I would love to hear it.
I
okay.
can't even wait.
Very
I'm
good.
Bated breath.
Meaning, to ingratiate yourself to someone with flattery
Mhm.
in context. I didn't really like the coach, but I had to butter him up because I was desperate to
For
play on
playing
Saturday.
time. Yep.
Mm.
Butter someone up is an expression that dates back to ancient India. Cue the sitar.
Okay.
The Hindus always wanted to keep their gods happy so that the gods would watch over them and protect them, naturally. Ghee was a clarified butter
Oh, I've
that
had
has
ghee.
been used in Indian cooking for centuries and is still in use today. The Hindus had a custom of throwing balls of ghee at the statues of their gods to butter them up.
Wow.
They did this
What?
to keep the gods happy generally.
Oh, this is
Way.
wild.
Also, if they
This is
were
wild.
seeking a particular favor.
Oh,
So they were.
I was right. Oh,
nailed
my
Wow.
it. Once again, dear listener, you see our cunning and how easily we get to the core of it.
We're like, this
That's
one's
wild.
easy.
You will keep an eye on Frodo.
You just put butter on steak.
2 eyes. Offers no, I can spare them.
You just can't help yourself.
He's been,
But
did the whole scene.
Bilbo, the ring.
Apparently, we just need to do a whole podcast of Lord of the Rings. So, when Britain became...
Oh, wait.
Have I
It's
thought
here.
of an ending for my
In my
book?
pocket.
He lived happily ever after for the rest of his days. So Hindus.
Yeah. Tell you what I like about Hindus. They're
They
in
really
India.
know how to butter you up.
Yep.
Hey,
butter
hey,
gods.
Bangladesh, okay?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Squarespace, analytics. I look at everybody who accesses the website.
Yeah?
And
we got
someone
a listener?
in Bangladesh
Hopped
accessed our Hold Your Horses page.
on. Is that our furthest,
Now, as Tom
most
pointed
remote
out-
listener?
No, it was like Shetland
Tom
Islands
pointed
and
out,
Japan.
it was a 14-second.
It also gives timestamps, and within 1 minute of each other, he had browsed one page, the next page, and then gone.
He found us.
So,
He was probably like,
yeah.
I don't know what buttered up means.
Maybe.
And then he typed in idioms.
Is
and
there a
then-
place that I could find this out?
Right.
Yeah,
And he
Nice.
listened to
so
this
we are
episode.
helpful. He probably got his answer.
exactly.
Or he will.
Or
Someone
he will
will.
if he comes back. So we really need him to come back.
So for some context, India was a British colony.
Yeah.
And then the British went there and they're like, what in the world are you doing? Watching them fling butter at some like little, I don't know, golden statue.
7
And then they're
arms,
like,
yeah.
oh, we're going to get more gifts from
This
from
is what
Vishna
we do. Yeah.
or Krishna.
Yeah.
And they're like, so you're like you're just buttering them up.
Yeah.
And then it made its way back to England. They're like, that's insane.
I
and
guess.
here we are
Yeah. The book
throwing
didn't say that
butter
part,
at
but I'm sure.
each other.
This is nice.
Isn't that nice? My foot's so warm.
I didn't think we'd go to India,
We've never been to India.
but
Not a one of us.
Mm-mm.
it kind of sounds nice.
We found ourselves
Seems
there
like butter
tonight.
is plentiful. So.
Yeah.
Where the
This is-
butter flows like wine.
Exactly.
That probably is our most, what would you call it? Exotic.
Exotic
Idiom.
explanation.
Yeah.
That's like
origin,
Rudyard
yeah.
Kipling probably stumbled on that
Yeah.
little gem. I bet you buttered up shows up in the Jungle Book.
Perhaps.
Mm-hmm. Ka buttered up Mowgli as he hypnotized him before devouring him.
Tales, yeah.
Yeah. And that's an Indian tale.
True.
If ever there was one.
So now you can say, hey, do you know where buttered up came from?
Yep. As
India. That's where.
But be a little more subtle. Maybe butter them up a little bit before.
Exactly.
And then deliver it.
It's a dance. It's a complicated, decadent dalliance, really, with language that we do here.
Yeah.
That was very well said.
Thank you. That
was good. Use the letter D a lot.
Did I?
No doubt.
Daniel?
Ditto.
No doubt. Well, thank you, folks, for episode whatever this is of season whatever this is. Thanks for joining us wherever you are. And we hope that you learned something today. Maybe not as insightful or as emotional as Daniel's episode.
You know what I'd like to do real quick, just to send our listeners out?
I'll pause, yeah.
Listener, I want to say to you and you alone in Bangladesh or wherever you are, you're the best listeners that any podcast could ever have. You are engaged. You are thoughtful.
Well,
35 of you,
tells us,
35 of you write reviews that are 5 stars.
Yeah.
And I picture you listening, and I picture grace, strength, wisdom,
beauty,
perseverance for sure.
Absolute perseverance,
exactly.
dedication, and just a stubbornness. Of one of these episodes, they're gonna entertain me.
They're really gonna do it. Exactly. And like I said at the beginning,
and I'll be able to say I listened to them before they got that 36th listener.
Exactly.
Yes.
So thank you, listener. If you feel buttered up, well, gosh darn it, you should.
Why don't you tell us?
Yeah.
And the whole thing about the writing the 5-star reviews on Spotify, it's really just like clicking on the stars.
Click. It's very simple.
So minimal effort, but
easy
they did
to
it.
do.
They did it. So,
but if you haven't done it, do it.
Oh yeah,
for
just
sure. Click.
You guys are the best
people.
for doing that.
You guys all have a face for podcasting.
The reason why we do this.
Yeah, I thought we did this to make a point.
Yeah, and the other reason.
Okay, we have all kinds of reasons.
People like the point that we were trying to make, so we got to keep
making.
I wonder if they can keep this up. And gosh darn it, we can.
I wonder how great this episode is going to be. So keep tuning in.
Tune in and tune
Spotify,
out.
Apple, Google, Amazon. We'll see you there. Yeah!